check out the harvester and see how. Yep, he's full. Yeah, so I did end up registering, at least for home use, all of my stuff. Now my drones, I'm still going to fly it. I hate to say it. I'm probably breaking a whole bunch of laws, but I don't really care, and I'm going to fly my drone. And if I'm getting paid to do it, I don't actually get paid. The funny thing is, the way that we have it set up, we don't charge for the drone work. It's all free. So even the time that I don't charge them for the time. I do all of it for free. I do the photo shoot. I go there, I give them an hour-long photo shoot, and I really shoot for an hour. And then when that hour is up, I may go fly the drone depending on the weather. But it's not part of the package. It's part of what I do separately. So it's free. I'm trying to do it as legally as possible. But honestly, they make it so difficult. But I've been applying for the exemption for a while. I should be able to get past. Because I never fly over 200 feet. So they said if you don't fly over 200 feet, you usually can get the exemption. Did the worker quit? The hired worker is gone. What the heck? How weird is that? He just left. It's hard to find good help. Anyway, so I'm going to continue to use it. But I am in the process of trying to make it legal. And I am, like I said, I'm going to go to the license... the licensing center and try to get the paperwork that is necessary to get my drone registered as a commercial drone, along with the exemption paperwork that I'm waiting to hear back from. They said it takes about a month to 2 months to hear back, and I applied, I think, like less than a month ago. So I don't know. I'm just waiting to hear back from them so that I can get my certification or my exemption. And once that happens, then I can get insurance and I can start advertising and actually charging, but becoming known as a drone film company. And the great news is I have a huge portfolio already, so I can go out there and just say, this is what we do, here's our portfolio. I've already got a couple people that are commercial videographers that are like, hey, we would love to pay you to come out here and fly the drone, because they don't know how to fly the drone. And they're like, well, we'll have you, if you can do the footage, and then you don't have to do any editing or anything, but just film the footage for us and get it to us. That's a really cool thing, because that could be a big help for my business. If I'm out there doing what I love, flying the drones and getting them cool film clips, So, but I think I do need to buy a new drone. Mine is starting to get some shake and wobble in it. It's just, it's old. I've used it for almost 2 years now, and it's a year and a half at least. And it's been flying almost definitely every week, almost every other day. I mean, really, that thing's up in the air all the time. Rain, snow. Obviously, if it's raining, I don't fly it. But, high winds, I take it up there all the time. And I've never had an incident. I'm very careful about how I fly it. We've talked about it before, But I did have to register today because I just realized I've got so many airplanes. And I don't want to be flying at Medina Field or whatever, or at the fairgrounds. These are little foamy airplanes. Have some cop come up and be like, "Oh, I'll be able to pull the license out and go, I got my license right here. Here's my tag number. Here's the tag numbers on each of my airplanes. They're legal and they're registered." And then there's nothing they can do about it. What are they going to say? Well, you can't do that. No, they don't. Now if they say it's private property and you can't fly here, well, then you got a problem. But I've had cops come back and watch me fly. They just sit around and watch me fly because they like it. So, it's usually not a problem, and it's usually not a big deal. People just let me do it. I'm very careful. Like I said, I'm a good pilot. I've had a couple crashes because I had a terrible airplane at one point that crashed all the time. I just could not land the airplane. It was awful. It was a ME-109. And if you guys know anything about airplanes, the ME-109 in real life is an extremely hard aircraft to land because it's got a really small tail surface, and it's a very aggressive design. Let's see if we can get water here. Wassa, beach wassa. Oh, you know what though? In real life, you couldn't do this because you know what? It's salt water. We can't do that. Nope. We have to get fresh water. So even if we can, I'm not going to cheat. That's the English Channel right there, and we're gonna kill our cows in like 2 minutes if they drink that. Pigs. So anyway, that Messerschmitt was a terrible flying airplane. You can actually see it if you look up on my channel. Go down to the RC stuff. Like I have a playlist on my channel for all RC things, and it's the LANYU, LANYU ME-109, and you'll see me flying it. And Mark and I did a review on it because it was Mark's airplane, actually. I bought it for him, but he couldn't fly it because it was just too hard to fly, and I could barely fly it. And it also had a really weird flight envelope. If you went too slow, the airplane would stall. But if you went too fast, the speed would overcome the control surfaces, and the airplane would be uncontrollable. Like, it would just start flying out of control. Like, you'd have no rudder and you'd have no elevator. It would just shoot straight ahead. I called it like rocket mode. Wherever you were heading was where it was going. And now I don't know if this water will be real or not. Some of these maps you can't get down into the water. I'm hoping that we can here, but I don't know. It's really sharp angle too. Definitely don't want to get the tractor in there. Hopefully we won't lose the trailer. Let's see what happens. So anyway, it was a that airplane had several, and the interesting thing though, even with all that bad stuff said about it, it actually was really tough. Like I had one where I was coming down. I literally went 30 feet straight down into the ground. I lost control and it flipped upside down and it like on its own, and it went literally from 30 feet high straight down into the ground at full speed. And I was able to kind of pull it out at the last second, and it bounced off the pavement and just kept flying. And I was like, holy crap, like this thing is bulletproof. But unfortunately, it still didn't. No, I'm not getting any fill here. I think this is just for looks. You have to find a spot where it says don't drive any deeper. Yeah, see, this is all just for looks. It's not real water. We'll drive along here for a minute. Normally I don't do this, guys, you know, but I'm looking, if we're looking for something. See, this stinks. If they use this kind of water, there's not going to be any real water on the map. So we're probably going to be out of luck, and I don't even know where to buy the water. I mean, it's going to be thousands of dollars to get water. I see it already, you know. It's like going to be a pain in the patushki. Rats. Okay, well, we tried. That was, you know, an interesting trial. So I don't know where the water spigots are. We'll have to look on the farm and see what we got. Hopefully it's on the animal farm and not, like, you know, over on the other one. Oh, and I need to pull up here. We need to empty the pig trailers, or the pig trailers. The grain trailer. We need to empty the harvester. Yep. So anyway, still haven't made my mind up about which airplane I'm going to keep, whether I keep the Trojan or the... I've got more money invested in the Trojan, but the Trojan still needs a lot of work if I want the landing gear to work right. And it's scary to fly that airplane because it's 7.5 pounds. I mean, that's a big freaking airplane. 55-inch wingspan. It averages probably 30 to 40 miles an hour, and when you're going top speed, it's probably closer to 60, 65 miles an hour. I mean, that could kill someone. That airplane makes me nervous when I fly it, and you really have to have a really long landing strip, obviously, to land it. It doesn't, you know, Curtis always tried to bring it down slow, and he'd always end up thunking it in and breaking wheels off and stuff. I don't know, man. And it's a crappy brand. It's FMS, and they're also known as nitro planes, and they're just they're kind of junky. Or is it nitro plane? It's nitro planes brand is the, I forget what their brand is though. Their separate brand. They have, anyway. It's Aerosky, or I'm sorry. It's the real brand is FMS, which is like something familiar model site, or I don't know, who knows what it stands for. It's a Japanese term, but it's just not super high quality. Whereas the Corsair now needs, I want to say it needs a radio, and that's going to cost like $30 to $50. But it also needs new landing gear, and that's going to be another $20. So I'm like, it's not a rush. I have plenty of time to decide, because obviously it's winter right now, and the weather is not really cooperating too much for that kind of fun play anyway. I'm not going to be doing a lot of airplane stuff in the winter. But that Corsair looks so awesome at sunset, man, when that thing's coming in and the strobes are flashing on the wings, and it's got that gull wing and the sun is behind it, and it just looks so freaking real. I mean, that airplane just, it tears it up, man. It comes over and it's like, I mean, it looks like a real airplane. I love that thing, man. When you bring it in, you get those awesome wheel landings where it just like levels out, and I love flying that airplane. You know, the Trojan looks cool too, and the Trojan is huge. I mean, it just has all this presence, but it's so freaking heavy. That's my biggest concern. It's heavy, and it needs a bigger airfield than the normal airfields that I fly at. The Corsair is a little bit floaty, so I can fly it at smaller airfields. You know, airfields being like parks with big parking lots. I land on the parking lots. I have 2 or 3 parks within 10 minutes of my house where I can fly the Corsair. The Trojan takes a little more thought because it requires an empty driveway. I have that at the fairgrounds, but if the winds are from the south, I'm out of luck because then I have to come in over at that airfield. There is it's a parking lot. I don't call it an airfield. At the one end, there's probably a 25-foot telephone pole with wires going across the field. So when you come in from the north and you're heading towards the south, you have to come down over that pole. So you have to maintain your altitude and then drop down really quickly and then get onto the runway. Well, as you know in real life, that means that you need a lot more runway. And this airplane, you know, with its, 4.5-foot wingspan and it's moving, you drop that airplane down, even with the flaps down, and you put the nose down, you're going to gain probably 5 to 10 miles an hour. So that thing's going 35 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. When you level out to get on that runway, you end up flying 2/3 of the way down the runway before you can get the airplane down on the ground, and it ends up rolling off into the grass, and that, of course, bangs up the landing gear, and it beats everything up. So it's a hard decision, man. If the winds are from the north, which they usually are, from the west at least, north, our winds are usually prevailing northwest. So, like coming from the northwest. So I don't know if I think you call that a northwest wind. I don't know. I'm not real familiar with those terms, but the wind is always coming from the northwest. So where's the well? I mean, there's got to be a well around here somewhere. Usually the farm has one right nearby. So anyway, is that it? Or is that slurry? That's probably slurry, huh? No, that's a spigot. Oops. Yep, and there goes all my money. Oh, gosh. This is going to cost us a fortune. But once you have it filled up, you only have to fill it up a little bit each day. It's going to cost a lot of money. And this thing holds a lot of water, so we're looking at probably $10,000 in water that we're going to buy in the next half an hour. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Oh, wow, look at that money. Look at my money. Goodbye, money. We're going to go bankrupt. Dang it. I might have to make silage, guys. I hate to do it, but I think we might have to make some silage for sale. I can't see any other way to survive. I mean, maybe we'll see what happens. I mean, we'll run down to nothing. You can go into the red in this game and still make it. So maybe we'll have to go in the red for a couple of days. I don't know. We'll see. So anyway, as I was saying, if the winds are coming from the north or the west, it's not a problem because there's no wires on that end. I fly in over a grass field, make a right turn, and then descend over the field. And by the time I hit the runway, I'm at my landing speed. My glide scope is all set up, and the airplane just settles into the runway, and I can run all the way down the parking lot, no problems. But coming in from that south side, it just doesn't work so well. And neither of those airplanes are good at that. I won't fly either of those airplanes if the winds are wrong. So, and there's other fields I can go to too. It doesn't have to be those fields, but oh yeah, this tractor's struggling now with that heavy trailer. Anyway. Once again, if you want to see some of my RC stuff, I haven't done any videos for years. It's probably been, I want to say at least 2 years since I've done any airplane videos. I feel bad because my first subscribers were all for that RC stuff. I think the first 100 or 200 subscribers or more that I had were all for my remote control airplane reviews. And then I started doing World of Tanks a couple of years ago and was like, why not? Why not do World of Tanks? Lots of people are doing it. It's fun. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is going to wipe me out, man. This is going to be, I'm going to guess $15,000 maybe. We had 48 to start when I started loading. But they need water. And let's see if I'm selling them at $9,000 times 10. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. We're not getting much money for them. We're getting a couple $100 per head after our investment. So they're not, like I said before, they're not worth a ton of money on hard mode. So the good news is that it's going to take three of these full to fill all this up. Or 3.5, maybe 4. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's about $3,000 it looks like to fill it up. I didn't watch when I pulled away when it told me the number. Gotta slow down over that bump. So right now I have several aircraft. I'll tell you about them because as we drive around, it's chat time. I have, and you guys that have been around, you probably already know what I have, but I've got 3 Trojan T-28s. The big one that belongs to Curtis, that is a 54-inch wingspan. I then have a 28-inch wingspan, or 800-millimeter Trojan that I have cut flaps into, and it actually lands pretty nice. There's a video about the flaps that I made for it in my playlist. And then I also have a very small ultra-micro Trojan that I fly. I have a Spitfire that's ultra-micro that no longer flies. One of my favorite airplanes that is not really in the videos much. And I love it because it's so slow flying. It's a little tiny Red Baron. It's a Fokker DR1. And it's a biplane or triplane. So it's that famous Red Baron airplane with the short wing coupling and 3 wings up front, and then of course tail and surfaces in the back. But whenever you see Snoopy in his Sopwith Camel fighting the Red Baron's always flying the Sopwith Camel. The Red Baron's always flying the Fokker DR1. So that's probably one of my favorite airplanes because I can just take it out front and fly it. It's real slow. And then I also have, let's see, I had a P-51 Mustang, but that one is gone. Unfortunately, that one got in a crash. And then I kept having motor overheating problems with it, so I got rid of it. That was a little microplane. I currently have Curtis let me borrow 2 airplanes that are really cool until he gets his space for his house, his new house that he's building. I got it's a Saberjet F-86. There we go, full up there. And that Saberjet goes, I want to say 60 miles an hour. And it's got like a 14-inch wingspan. So it looks just like a Saberjet, but it's like the size of the palm of your hand. Or it's bigger than that, but it's like the size of a paper airplane. It's pretty cool. And then I haven't gotten that one working yet. I've seen him fly it, but I haven't been able to get it to bind to my radio, so I'm working on that one. And then he's let me using, I have a Lightning. Was that P-41? Is the Lightning the P-41? It's the one with the with 2 tails and the twin engines. It was a fighter bomber. Actually, it was the fastest airplane in World War II. And I think it's a P-38 Lightning maybe. So I have a little one of those. And then I also have, let's see, I've got Curtis's Corsair and also that big Trojan I told you about. The Corsair is the Corsair is a 48-inch wingspan. And also at that same size, I have a Fly Zone Switch, which is a stunt plane, mild 3D. It's not a full 3D aerobatic, but it's an aerobat plane, so it's meant for doing loops and rolls and flying inverted and doing snap rolls and stuff like that. It's a really nice airplane. That one has a 50-inch wingspan. And then I have, what else do I got? The Albatross. I have an Albatross with a 38-inch wingspan. Now, with biplanes, they have shorter wingspans, so that's the equivalent wingspan of the of my hang on. I gotta put it here, right there. That would be equivalent to the Corsair with a 55-inch wingspan, or I'm sorry, with the 50-inch wingspan. Whenever you have a biplane, it's usually about, on the RC planes, it's about 4 to 10 inches smaller, depending on the actual scale. because you have two wings, so they made them shorter, but the airplane scale is still big, and so it's a very big airplane. That the Albatross, and that is, out of all my airplanes, if I could only have one airplane, it would be the Albatross. That is my favorite RC airplane by far. It's a very gentle flyer. You can really slow it down, which one of the things that's fabulous about remote control biplanes is that they slow down and they end up looking a lot more scale because you really can cut back on the speed that they fly. But it also still can fly fast if you wanted to. But I love the low passes. That airplane's really fun to come in hot and then bounce down right to the runway and fly along the runway maybe a foot or so off and then cut back up and blast off the runway as you fly over. It's just a very nice fast pass or slow pass aircraft. However, because of its weird wing design, okay, so for those of you that are really into airplanes, you'll know this. There's two types of biplanes. There's a full-on biplane that has the top wing, which is as big as the bottom wing. And then you have what's called a sesquiplane. It's not an actual full biplane. And the sesquiplane design has a big top wing and a thin bottom wing. Now, the Albatross happens to be a sesquiplane, so it's got a thinner bottom wing. Because of this, it actually makes the rolls kind of sloppy because you have one wing that does not have any control surfaces on it. And it's just not as agile. So the Albatross tends to be a slow roller, and it also tends to lose a lot of altitude in a roll. So you have to be very careful when you're rolling it. I've had issues before. I've almost bought the farm with it when I was too close to the ground and didn't nose up before I rolled. The airplane just wanted to go right down into the ground. I'm like, whoa. Same with the Corsair. The Corsair is another airplane that kind of has a bit of a sloppy roll. Oops, you know what I need to do? I'm talking away here and I'm forgetting the harvester sitting out in the field. Look at that. That took, just over $10,000. But that last load should fill it up. Where the heck is the Dutzfar? There he is. So anyway, I hope you're enjoying the airplane chat. I do love my airplanes for sure. There's no question about it. I've been flying now for 4 or 5 years. And and then I have an FW-190. That's right. I have the Butcher Bird. I forgot about that one. That's a pretty cool airplane too. So that was my first big RC airplane, and I put it together. We bought it as a kit, so it had no engine and no servos and nothing in it. And I read online how to make it a better airplane, so I did all kinds of stuff. And on my very first flight, I did not have the engine mounted properly. I came down the field, clipping along 30 miles an hour or so, and the engine just yanked right out of the airplane. And the airplane nosed into the ground and smashed in and busted up the nose. And I was like, oh, no. But I was able to take it home and piece it all back together. It's not pretty, but it actually is a great flying airplane. Once I got the nose in there right, and I just took to get it right, I just took a huge piece of plywood and glued it in and then used zip ties to strap it in. And it works. It actually worked. And the motor has never come out since then. That airplane probably has a good 200 to 300 flights on it, and finally my batteries that I use for it wore out, so I haven't flown it in a little while. But it is just an excellent airplane, good airframe, and then I put better electronics than it normally would have come with. So it's a good flyer, and so I almost forgot about the Butcher Bird. So it's pretty cool German airplane, a little bit of German airplane technology there, along with the Albatross. I have the Albatross and the FW-190, and that Marky had the ME-109. So those airplanes are all down my basement. At some point, I may thin the herd a little bit, simply because there's just too many to fly. But I do, I do go back to them. I'll just, every day I'll kind of go through, especially in the summer when the weather's nice, I will, to get out of the house and do something. A lot of times at lunchtime, I will, grab something to eat, and then I'll run over to the flying field and fly for 20 or 30 minutes, and just enjoy the afternoon, fly my little airplane. And I think we're going to save, we might fill it up one more time, and each day we'll just fill it up little bits. That way it's never again going to be $10,000 to do it. This first feeding is always the most, I don't want to say damaging to your farm, but it's definitely the most expensive and most, the most expensive. Oh. But unfortunately, there is no free water source on this map, so you have to pay. Ugh. Let that fill up, and I'm going to pull up here. Back where we were, and just remember, don't get stuck on that wire. Good. All right. So now we're going to pick up the crawn. Oh, I should have brought those other trailers over too. Oh well. We'll get this guy ready, but we'll have to wait till after they're done because those trailers are in use, obviously, to pick the grain up. Yeah, I did this right. See that? There we go. That makes it a little easier to see. Whoa, slow down, slow down, slow down. So we have the Kron the Big X. Man, $15,000 down in the first like 10 minutes of farming. Okay, hour. We've been going for 46 minutes. So actually probably more like 60 minutes because I think I started at like 750 or something like that. So this is getting gosh darn awful expensive. One of the things I like about the mods is how you bounce in the seat. That is a lot more. Think about how the Harvester looked inside and then how this looks. I guess you're traveling down this bumpy road. You're actually bumping around, and that's real life, folks. I don't think I've ever seen another car on this road, but let's hope we don't run into anybody. It's funny, those look good. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's the way you do it. Oh, he stopped again. Crap cycles. I thought he'd still be going. Was he still going? Oh, no, he's still going, but he's almost full. So, we got here just in the nick of time. Oh, yeah, I forgot to do this. One of the things I don't like about the there we go. That's a little more realistic. Put the steering wheel where it belongs. I don't love IC models because it makes it so you have to use that shift or the space bar or whatever. But whatever. I mean, it's not a huge deal. It's not a game breaker. So we're going to use this for silage. We're going to chaff up the straw swath once we're done harvesting, so that we have a silage pit started. And then the next hay field we'll get hay bales from. We'll see how much silage we make. We don't really need a ton of silage for this farm, because these animals don't eat as much as the dust pigs. I'm sorry, as much as the milk cows. Once we get into milk cows, that's going to start eating up a lot of our the silage. They require a lot of feeding, but these, for some reason, the fattening installations don't require as much food. However, the downside is you don't get as much manure either. So it takes a lot longer to get usable amounts of manure for fertilizing your fields. So like I said, we may have to forage for silage for the biogas plant just to survive. We'll see how low our funds get. I'm trying to hold out so that we don't have to do that, but I think that we may have to do that. We do have the 2 grass fields over at the other farm that we could send our forage harvester over there and do some foraging if absolutely necessary. All right, so this load is pretty full. We are going to run back to the farm with this once he's done unloading and start feeding our cows and pigs. 1 trailer for each. Cows and pigs.